I know, everybody, I'm not looking very pretty this morning, okay? But you sure are. Welcome back to the show here, Esports Talk. Absolute madness breaking down just last night as, yes, the CSGO match-fixing investigation slowly unraveling ever since September of last year. We are slowly approaching the year mark of what is apparently set to come sometime in the very near future, especially when it comes time for the so-called easier part and the first part of the investigation into North American Counter-Strike, which involves several players who have moved on from CSGO and into Valorant. It's actually thanks to Slash32, a great interview. Please go check it out with ESIC, the Esports Integrity Coalition himself, the man who runs it, the commissioner, known as Ian Smith. Now, in this, we can now confirm to all of you guys how crazy the investigation has gotten and to what's being called the second part, the longer part of the investigation as to why it's been delayed so much, and the more serious part as the FBI is now involved into CSGO match fixing, which could lead, of course, to some very serious punishments for several CSGO and some even now Valorant pros.
Yeah, get rid of him and sort of shut the whole thing down before it became a serious problem for the tournament.
Gotcha. I was wondering if there was any updates on the status of the match fixing that ESIC was working into. I think it was specifically North America. Are you able to speak on that, or is it still under wraps?
I'm afraid I can only speak in general terms. There are two distinct elements to this investigation, which I can tell you. The one is that we have a very focused investigation around where we have really, really good corroborating evidence from Discord, from various chat logs, screenshots, and recordings of players that we are going to ban for a very, very long time, a group. The reason I say that there's two elements to this is that this particular group of players, where I'm optimistic that we'll be able to go public with this soon, within the next sort of 10 days, 2 weeks. But it is part of a far bigger investigation, which is going to take us a little bit longer, unfortunately, which is that there has been, amongst a relatively small but significant group of players over a long period of time, organized match fixing in North American MDL, which is different to what the betting scandal that we saw in Australia, where whilst it was a large group of players, and there definitely is match fixing there, and we'll be finished, we're working with law enforcement there, and it takes a lot longer once you start working with the police, because fortunately in Australia, these are criminal offenses. And so getting it all coordinated with the police takes a lot longer. We've got great solid cases there, and if it was just us acting alone, we could announce those prosecutions now. But it isn't all 42 guys that were betting. It's a much smaller group that within that were not just betting, but manipulating outcomes. In North America, it's much more serious, what I would describe as classic match fixing. In other words, it's players being bribed by outside betting syndicates in order to fix matches, rather than players just kind of doing it off their own bat opportunistically. And it's been going on for longer. It's much more organized. So and again, to some extent, working with law enforcement, with the FBI, who only recently have had a sports betting investigative unit within the FBI. So they're quite, they're good, but they're inexperienced, because sports betting has never been a big thing in America until recently. And so everybody's kind of finding their feet on that one. So that's the second part, is a much more serious part. The first part we'll deal with, quite quickly, because we're dealing with idiots, basically.
I mean, we are talking potential criminal time to be served, if not other variety of punishments out there for several pro players. If you guys have watched our past content over the past year, or even pro players have named some names out there, some of whom have been signed, are still currently signed, yes, in either space. This is now all the more serious, it seems, as in the next 10 to 14 days, as he does say, in the next couple of weeks, we should be seeing the first part of the investigation come out, to which makes us all wonder, if you're not involved in the first part of the investigation and then you are in the second, how serious can it be? It's going to be a crazy, crazy shock to a lot of Valorant teams out there who have potentially taken risks on some of these characters, but it's just a constant reminder that, hey, you know, circumstances, they might come to influence some of the topics we talk about here, but we're going to see a lot of community members probably tossing a lot of not so nice comments their way, and we will see how a lot of these teams and organizations and player themselves actually handle themselves as all of this is revealed. It's nutty to realize the time we are currently in. And this same Ian Smith, by the way, and again, feel free to go check out the full 30+ minute interview. Some great knowledge is actually dropped in that. The same guy, ESIC, yes, they've already exposed a few dozen Counter-Strike coaches for the coaching bug just last year. 30 Aussie pros have also been involved in the early ongoings of these match-fixing scandals, and now North America is the target country, and apparently have found a lot of culprits when it comes time for match fixing, whether in Counter-Strike or now, of course, have led them to Valorant to maybe try and start anew. We will see if they are allowed to start anew. We'll see who gets the harshest of these punishments. We've already seen some very harsh punishments, whether you include the coaches or the Aussie players involved, and who gets the least amount of the punishments, and better yet, what the community response is going to be when you compare all of these cases subjectively, and of course you try and figure out the circumstances or the motives behind that, and compare that to a case like iBuyPower, which a lot of people have now looked past. I think also pretty crazy how the first part, maybe players who just did it themselves, right? They fully aware what they're doing. It was fully in their control. And what will differentiate that from what he calls these kind of betting syndicates, these groups going out and seeking these players and bribing them or convincing them to match fix. It's absolutely crazy. More to come sometime soon. We will break these cases down case by case. We got a lot to talk about. So hope you guys all enjoy the rest of your day. We'll be talking about this soon. Super excited. As per usual, thank you all for watching. Really do appreciate all of you guys. Until next time, take care.